All right, let's get this party started. Thursday, April 16th. No major economic headlines this morning. Good news on that front. I don't see any major political headlines coming in this morning, so no news flow. That's also probably good. Still waiting for these markets to balance somewhere. That's just an expectation, not a guarantee as to what will happen. Because these last 2 days, we've had these fantastic run-ups. Haven't really established any definitive value area up here. So we'll see what the flow dictates today. We're not going to inflict our will upon the markets this morning saying, we need to balance or we need to go fill into this area. Let's just see where the flow takes us this morning and go from there. And then we'll look towards the distributions for the levels to trade. So everything looks good. Got how much longer until markets open? 15 seconds. Pre-market divergence on the buy side doesn't really matter. Small size, it's pre-market. We don't want to weigh that into our decision making. Let's just see what happens with the cash session when all the volume and all the liquidity comes in, what the institutional order flow looks like, and then we'll take it from there. See what the volume looks like in the first minute here. Got pretty good volume in the last few days. It's been around 15,000 contracts in the first minute. So let's see if we get kind of the same numbers. Already seeing sell side absorption coming in already. Markets opened at just around 70. Look at the TPO chart. Actually see it on my TPO chart. Why can't I see? I'm thinking it's 71.5 where we actually physically opened, but that doesn't really matter. I was just really curious. So we've had absolutely really no range overlap the last few days. All right, Wednesday did not really overlap Tuesday's range, just tested the highs of it during the opening drive and rejected. Same thing on Wednesday. Wednesday didn't even get down to Tuesday's range. It just opened and drove straight up. So, I mean, that's kind of a weak low in terms of auction theory when you have an opening drive, because it's not a clean, complete auction. Just the market volume just drives price in one direction. And we see that we got only about a little over 12,000 contracts within that first minute. So that's pretty low over the last few days of what we've seen. Only size that's come in was right at the open at 930. So that could have just been a market on open order at 68.25. So right here. So we're not going to weigh that information heavily just yet. Imbalance on S&Ps was plus 59 million. That's nothing. It's when those numbers get large, and then you see how the market reacts to those imbalances. It can tell you a little bit about how the opening auction is going, but at 59 million, that's irrelevant information. I think we got some Fed speak this morning by Moran at 10:35. I don't know if he say his name correctly like that, but that should be irrelevant to what it is that we're doing today. So pretty steady here at the open. Volumes, again, as I just mentioned, are pretty low this morning. So it could be that price is just getting a little unacceptable up here, and we'll retrace back to kind of this distributive value area that we had build yesterday around 60, 760, where there was tons of absorption above 55 and below 60. So in between 55 and 60, tons of buyer absorption late in the afternoon yesterday. So I'll see if the markets can get down there to test it. It might just only come down to like the high of yesterday's distribution around 765 and then just reject from there, right? Because we've already almost touched it. I think the exact high from the cash session is 64.5. Right, so you came close. But we don't Just be patient. We don't really want to jump into things just yet. Let's see where this flow kind of takes us. I don't want to really be bias short or bias long, or have a bias saying that we need to just balance up here somewhere. Just I want to see what the market's kind of up to this morning, see if any large institutional orders come in, or whether or not they get trapped. Do they hold up price? And we really don't have any action as of yet, other than the one large order that came in at 9:30. And volume at the moment just seems mixed, right? Volume comes in, it pushes down price. Volume comes in, it lifts price. Volume comes in, it pushes down price again. And you're all doing this around this POC where we opened. Pretty balanced so far. Very tight range. 74 down to 66. That's a very tight range, 8-point range. Let's see if we open up here a little bit. But volumes already this morning are kind of anemic here. And I also don't want to go trading the first signs of divergence or anything. And just I want to be clear on a directional path today before we really engage. And for the market to trend 3 days in a row and now a 4th day in a row is, I think, just statistically, it's pretty improbable. But not to say that it can't happen. You already see the divergence on the buy side. The buyers were willing to step in. And so it looks like they added volume at 70 and bought up price. But in a balanced range, you're going to get absorption on both sides very close to the POC. You don't want to read too much into it just yet. All right, very tight range. The tighter the range you develop and the longer it goes on, the more essentially compression you get in the market and the more likely it becomes to explode in some sort of direction. And we've kind of seen that happen over the last couple of days where the market creates this very tight compressed range and then later in the afternoon expands in an attempt to find a new balance. Right? I mean, you can see it pretty clearly on the TPO chart, especially on like, so say it's through Wednesday, Tuesday. You see these tight compressions here on the TPO chart. You compress, pop, and then you find a little bit of balance going into the close. And then kind of the same thing Monday, right? Open, compress, pop, compress, pop. Volume's coming in again around 70. It's attempting to hold up price. Had some more size just come in at 69.25. Well, it's right here. So we've had size at 68.25 and 69.25. So down here. So this wasn't price continuation. These buys were absorbed. Well, not absorbed, but are holding. But that's, again, we're short time frame into this auction open. We gotta just be patient. This is a very tight range. There's no predictive value yet. Like, I would like to see a little more action out of the institutions. I mean, you got to be kind of leaning bullish based off what you're seeing with volume and where these large trades have come in, and then the fact that we're able to hold these levels. But again, this is too early. So like my bias wants to lean bullish at the moment, but I mean, that's just not, I'm not even willing to put on a quarter position with us. Absolutely not. We have not had enough evidence. Just taking a look at the headlines as we go. Very tight range. Volume coming in and then again to lift price, getting buyer divergence. Again, big order at 69.25. 147 contracts. Not huge, but it's something. And it's holding. And the one before that, which was done at the open, which I don't weigh as heavily, was 68.25. So that too is holding. So the big orders are down here on the buy side, and they're holding. You're getting buy side divergence at the low of the daily distribution. All right, so like, and you don't see any seller divergence coming in. And it's not a ton of volume coming in at near the highs to suppress price. The volume that comes in is still, for the most part, lifting price. And now you get the seller divergence, right? As we say, like, oh, we're not present. Here we are. Hello. Yeah, I don't want to lean on this one way or the other. I want to be a little patient with this because we've had 3 days of trend, right? Of imbalance, price discovery mode, markets drifting higher, looking for an area where it can balance. And it doesn't really seem to have found that area yet. Yeah, just we're willing to let the buyers and sellers fight this one out a little bit this morning. Wait to see who gains the upper hand, and then we'll just follow them, right? We can't impose our will upon the market here. Anything we do is not going to move price, but institutional order flow will move price. So we need to wait to confirm what they're trying to do. We have divergences on both sides. We got sellers coming in at the highs, buyers coming in at the lows. But it doesn't seem this volume that's coming in here at 67 is really doing a great job of elevating price. Right, and the 69 and a quarter large order, we're on the, now you're on the top side of it. So kind of irrelevant. It's just one big order. So more divergence on the buy side. Came in lower than where previously they were trying to hold. Volume that came in here did not lift price. The volume came in here, lifted price a little bit, but the volume up here held price back down. So a little bit of a battle, but not like a very hard fought battle by either side. No major headlines coming in. Some Iranian news, but not high impact. It doesn't look like. They're just talking about the blockade. So no definitive control just yet. Just being patient. This is an extraordinarily tight range for the first 11 minutes. So oh my. So some big size came in and bought at 69.50 and then just swamped the market. That was crazy. That was a huge volume surge. So let's see if any more large orders come in. And the speed at which this recovers will tell you quite a bit about the auction this morning. All right, if this quickly drops and then quickly retraces back up, that's heavy absorption on the buy side, but it doesn't seem that you're getting that. All right, there was literally a 138 contract size order at 941 and 45 seconds at 769.50, and then the market immediately dropped. Someone just massively hit the sell button. That was a lot of volume for 1 minute. And the volume that's coming in after it isn't really lifting price. So it seems like that was a little tough to chew on behalf of buyers. And so now you have the, I think if you do attempt to sell the underside of this distribution here, right? If we retrace back up to 69, kind of that area, the value area low, and we see some volume come in and push price lower, maybe some diversions on behalf of sellers, I think your reasonable target is the POC from yesterday at 760. I would suspect you're going to run into some resistance there. Remember, we talked earlier about there was heavy buyer absorption between 55 and 60 yesterday. So we got flashes of the buyer diversions, but this volume that came in here lifted price. No large orders at the lows. 69s are still trapped. You're getting flashes of the seller divergence, but the volume here is still lifting price. Like if the volume comes in here and is able to hold price down, I'm willing to start getting involved on a quarter position with the intention that if it gets up to here, it will be a half. Right, because we're selling on the underside of the distribution. Right, but this volume here is holding price up. And if we can hold 69 and a half, 69 and a quarter where these large orders are, not so bearish anymore. We need some confirmation that this does want to go lower. Because while you've now retaken this ground here, you didn't do it so fast. Maybe if we attempt to get outside of value again and we just can't and we snap back into value, then it's the exact same pattern we saw on yesterday, on Wednesday. Yeah, the sudden snap down out of value, went back into value, tried to come back down again, and quickly got snapped back up. Volume came in and snapped it right back into value. If you just get the same pattern today, we're long. With this volume came in, pushed price down. The 69 is a pretty crucial level because of the large orders that came in. You don't see a ton of volume coming in here to lift price. Most of the volume on this bar was done up here. But we also now attempted to get out of value and quickly came back in. So I want to be a little more patient on this before I say like, hey, this might be a short. Because we haven't seen anything on the institutional side outside these 69 orders. 69 quarter and 69 and a half. And we just attempted to get back outside of value, and that was a pretty quick rejection. And this volume held it up. If you can hold above this volume, this seems where the sellers are right here. That's 69 for the moment. It's like, are we going to get another day, a fourth consecutive day of like this similar pattern where we test out of value, try to test the lows, and you can't get down there? But I mean, there's seller absorption here. Volume that's coming in is pushing price lower. Ideally, like I would like to see volume build here right at the value area low that suppresses price. Right, like I am entertaining shorts. But you need to be able to hold outside of value a little bit. You don't want to see this volume coming in and then lifting price. You want to see it hold it down. Right now it's lifting price and we're going right back into value. So sellers are willing to absorb. They're not willing to follow through, it doesn't look like. All right, we've now tested out of value again. So based off this volume, I mean, it is and it isn't. It's just holding price. It's not pushing it. It's not suppressing it. It's just holding it. So again, we need more clarity here. And the fact that we were able to hold outside of value now. Yeah, the absorption up here, pretty consistent. Like it's probably a short, but it's probably not a great short. Right, because if we're only looking to get to like 60 before we hit the POC from yesterday and at most 55, which is a dangerous target because you're going to run into probably a ton of buyer absorption down there. But we're building volume outside of value, and it is suppressing price. We've had flashes of buyer absorption here, but we've also broken the two levels that buyers came in previously at. Right, these are now all lower levels, which isn't bullish. Yeah, you have absorption, but it keeps on coming in at lower levels. If we get up here and towards the value area low and get more volume that in comes in and pushes price lower, I think we can put on at least a quarter position and sell. Because sellers are absorbing at lower prices. We're not quickly snapping back into value. Like, we're able to spend some time out here. This is value area acceptance. But after what's happened the last few days here, I mean, it is tough to muster up a sell, and we've had no large institution flow come in other than the 769. 769 and a half, 769 and a quarter, which are, absorbed. They were on the buy side. We're underneath them. The volume that's coming in at the moment was holding up price, right? It stopped it here, held up price here. They need to confirm that the volume is suppressing price if we want to be short. You're kind of getting that a little bit now. Yeah, I mean, I think we do break down to at least 60. I mean, it's just like, where are we shorting to? All right, if you want to short this, where do you short to? I'm not exactly sure. Because it's going to be 60, right? That is probably going to be your target is 60. Can we really engage the market at 66 and sell down to 60? Like, that's such a tight range. I don't think it's worth the risk. And you're just really kind of hoping you get down to 55. The volume here is suppressing price, right? I am very tempted to put something on at 65 and a half. And that was like a minute ago. But I'm now that we've like kind of reached the target. Yeah. I mean, I'm correct in the thesis that like the flow is bearish here. For all the reasons that we previously outlined. Absorption comes in at lower prices. Seller diversion stepped in at lower prices. The volume now that's coming in is suppressing price. It was holding it here, but then this began the cascade of volume selling or suppressing price. But I want to see possibly what gets down happens at 55, right? This was the area that buyers stepped in heavily after 3 p.m. yesterday. Once we got down here, buyers stepped in and absorbed. Did we get the same absorption? So we had a big order coming in at 60 and a half right here. So that suppressed price. If we're thinking 55 is low here, I want to see big institutional sells come in and those get absorbed. All right, I want to see big volume come in here and get absorbed. I don't just want to see one large institutional order at 60 and a half and that attempt to be it. So now you got another one at 56. So we're looking at big order at 60 and a half and 56. If we don't get the order flow that we're looking for down here for a long, right, and then we continue the assumption that the flow is going to be bearish, I think the sell area is going to be back up at 60, right, where the POC was from yesterday. This is a heavy distribution node here at 60. So still large sells at 56 and 60. All right, they're holding price down. volume that's coming in is not rejecting price. I'm just confirming the move, really. Maybe as low as 58. Trying to find an area in which we can short on a retracement. Yeah, damn it. We're kind of kicking ourselves here. I mean, we were really thinking about getting short up here. And we just didn't pull the trigger because we were waiting for a little more confirmation because it was so hard to sell, thinking that the market was just absolutely going to get held up at 60, and it didn't get held up at 60 at all. So ideally what I want is a retracement up to 58.60, maybe that high. Volume to come in, divergence come in, sellers come in, and then we short, right? Because the large institutional orders are confirming this. We shot right through the demand zone, 55 up to 60, which now is resistance, right? If we test this from the underside, that's absolutely resistance. We get bearish divergence up in 55.60. You want to sell it, and then your target's probably going to be all the way down at 35. There's no clean ledges here south of 55 down to 40. All the volume that's coming in is suppressing price. Bearish order flow, folks. Bearish, bearish, bearish. And do not try to pick a bottom here. This is not going to work. This is not the place to pick a bottom. Now we're just waiting for retracements. If we can get it, Iran's planned Hormuz toll to be paid via Iranian banks. Cool. That was news at 9:52. So the move started before that. So the large order again at 56 and 60. I want to see what happens when we come up on the underside where all this absorption was yesterday, which is right here at 55 to 60. So this region right here. Volume comes in, does it suppress the price? And it does. Pretty heavily. Man, they just did not give us an opportunity on that one. Large volume coming in here, holding up price. And this is a pretty decent volume here, but this was a lot heavier and it held up price. So let's see if we build volume in the same area and if it continues to hold up price or suppresses it. This is not a good entry for a short here. Oh, we're too low. The 55 was reasonable. 60 was better. I mean, probably not, though. I don't think we get that high. I think that maybe the top is 55. All right, we've blown out this area of volume. Like, there is an attempt here. Buyers are coming in at 50, which is now lower than they previously came in at. But, I mean, where's the signs of the divergence here? There aren't any. I mean, other than this volume on the bid down here, which is absorption. This is absorption, but it's not outweighing. Like, the price move is not outweighing the number of contracts that are being hit on the bid. So let's see if we can get another rotation up into 55. And then if this area can, again, quickly rejects on volume. I mean, or it's just the volume here is not doing a great job of raising price. Get a little dip in the volume at 54. Yeah, see what happens when we rotate up into 55 again. Because again, nothing on the institutional side that's come in after the 56 sell and the 60 sell are here and here. volume suppressing price again. So like even though you have the divergence on the buy side, all this volume that's coming in. So now does volume come in and quickly reject price out of here? Because this would be the sell area, right? This is where all the buyer absorption was yesterday. You're now on the underside of it. I mean, value now is at 60. Value area low is at 60. There's pretty heavy sell activity here. A lot of volume. So volume held price here, volume lifted price here, volume lifted price here. Yeah. I don't think let's put a limit in at 53. Stop at 63, quarter position. See if we can't get filled. I mean, we're chasing here a little bit, but this quickly came out of this 55 region that we're targeting. Don't really want to chase this down to the lows of the distribution, right? Because we're kind of like, once you get to, I mean, the target is 740 on this, right? We don't want to get below 45 and be trading. Like, let price come to us if we can get it. Like, we've wanted to short this. It's just, we didn't. Pooey. Pooey, pooey, pooey. All right, so volume lifts price here. Nothing on institutional order flow, but we resisted 56, right? This is the lowest. Still got the limit at 53. All right, so we're filled at 53. Quarter position. You really don't want to see price come back up here above 56. I want to see some seller divergence here. Like, give me some signs that sellers are willing to carry price lower. But we're going to keep things very small for the moment. And keep on getting flashes of the buyer divergence, but it doesn't hold. And I want to see some signs of seller divergence, some aggressiveness on behalf of sellers. A test up and a quick rejection down. This was kind of what we were looking for. That's why we're willing to take at least a quarter position short at 53. And all the volume that's coming in again is just suppressing price here again, despite the buyer divergence. But we're spending a lot of time in this area. All right, this is time acceptance of this area. So we don't want to be shorting in this area. I want to be shorting up here above 55. So we're not going to be adding beyond our quarter position until I see some seller divergence. I need more than what we have. And we're spending a lot of time here now. This is time acceptance in auction theory. And we've seen nothing on large orders. I'm willing to add up to a half position in drawdown. If we get up into like the 57s and volume comes in and suppresses price, I'd be willing to add a quarter there, another quarter there for a full half. But unless the trade starts working, we don't go towards full position. Full position is for when trades are working. All right, so there you're getting the flashes of the seller divergence. Willing to come in lower, but the volume's got to suppress price here, folks. And you didn't, and still hold up price here. So nothing to do outside the quarter position at the moment. Full stop is at 63, but I mean, if you start building value here and can't get outside the value area low, that negates our trade for sure. Just kind of testing the waters here a little bit with the quarter position on the short side. Filled at 53. Yeah, solid 53. Stops at 63. Getting more flashes of the seller divergence here. All right, buyers were willing to step in about 51. You're not able to get back into value. That's a pretty good sign for short. Again, until I really see like seller divergence, and then I'm willing to hold this line here at 55. Which I mean, so more trades came in at 54 while I wasn't paying attention. A couple big sizes at 54. Right here. So they were selling at 60, 56, and now they're selling at 54. The 54 got absorbed, at least part of it. 129 ticked the price down, but 107 more contracts got. So you want to quickly reject this. If the short thesis remains, you want to quickly reject and get back outside of value. And now, ideally, because all this trade activity at 754, you kind of want to get below 754. You do not want to stay in value here. Volume that's coming in is suppressing price, trying to push it right back outside of value. Again, signs of the seller divergence, but the sellers aren't holding here. And now 54s are underwater, 56 is underwater. The last line of defense of the big orders is 60. Lots of activity on the offer. But you want that to push price right back down. It's not pushing price right back down. I'm willing to give it a little more space on the quarter position, right? This is a small position. That was a good amount of absorption right there. It's pretty heavy. But I honestly want to see 54s broken now, just because you had those large institutional orders, one of which got absorbed at 54. That was trying to sell. They were trying to sell the pullback, and it didn't work for them. So that may be a floor. But we spent a lot of time down here. This is different from yesterday's order flow. Like, I'm just about willing to cut my quarter position here. As this volume is just holding it up. You're back in value. You didn't quickly snap back out of value. Like, I would have thought sellers would hold the line on the south side of 55, and it doesn't look like they're doing that. So let's put, yeah, just exit. This volume's just lifting price now. Yep, so out at 59 3/4 on the quarter position. We were in at 53, out at 59 3/4 on just a quarter position. Because the volume's not really suppressing price. We're going way too far in value, I think. I mean, we could be absolutely wrong. But where's the seller divergence? There isn't any. They're absorbing, but they're not pushing price lower. That's a key distinction here. So let's just allow this a little more wiggle room and use the restroom real quick. How much longer do I have until laundry? All right, I'll wait until laundry rotation. 4 minutes. And hopefully nothing too crazy happens without me. Well, there's no follow through on behalf of sellers. spent a lot of time. I mean, it wasn't a ton of time outside of value here. But if we come and try to get back outside of value again and cannot, and quickly comes back into value, I want to go long and go for the highs. Because sellers have not been willing to step in here. All right, 54s were absorbed, 55s, 56. Now you have 60. This is like the last line of defense for this guy. Volume that's coming in here at the value area low is trying to hold up price. Yeah, it's just not, it did not work for them. All right, I want to start buying 58.5. I mean, you can make it stop 50 on this quarter position. All right, this volume came in at the value area low. We couldn't stay out of this. All these large institutional orders are now underwater. They're trapped 54, 55, and now soon to be 60. Let's see if 60 holds the line, but we're long at 58.5 quarter position. All right, this volume came in here at the value area low and suppressed price. Sellers are not stepping in to absorb this for the most part. They've tried, but they're not following through with initiative. And the more logical place for them to have resisted would have been the underside of 55, and they didn't. So let's see if this volume here also holds up price, and it kind of does. You get buyers willing to come in more. 8.5 would be 48. Yeah. So let's see if we come down here, build more volume, and then come back up with more buyer divergence. If we do, we're adding and going half, targeting the highs. Always want to test the waters a little bit first. Don't overly commit. But no large institutional orders coming in on the buy side, which isn't great. So we'll just stick with the quarter position for now. So there was a buyer at 57.5. We come up above here, close above 58.10. Well, let's add some more. This is large size on a single print. It doesn't look like you'll be able to get above it. Nope. So no add yet. Still sitting on a quarter position long at 58.5. Stop is down at 50. That should be more than enough margin. I would hope for like a crazy news release or something. We just didn't really have a very quick rejection out of value. Like we spent a little bit of time here. So price was kind of accepted here. Yeah, I kind of want to add another half just right now. So let's do it. Probably a bad fill on that, right? Yeah, 59.75 on the second half of that. So 59.25, we can tolerate 49.25 on the stop. But we'll keep the stop at 750. So we're long at an average of 59.25 on a half position. And of course, my laundry is now done. Fucker. I'm targeting the high, so at least 70. All right, the last time we saw divergence was at 70. So maybe we'll just sell target on the other side here at 68. See what happens. Target for a quarter sell there. But maybe the sellers are just trapping us here on the high side of 60. Right on the top side of the distribution. Buyers at 57.5. All right, we had a large transaction come in here. All the sells now below 60 are underwater. Again, this is a pretty big print of seller divergence. It's not ideal for our long at 59.25 average. That's pretty adverse. I would like to see some more size come in and hold this up. All right. Let's see some institutional flow get behind us. but no large sells came in with this, no institutional flow. I want to see us struggle to get out of here. Absolutely struggle. Like, this should not be easy. If it's easy to get outside of value here, we might be done. At least with the long. And we were wondering where sellers were going to step back in. And so sellers at 57 and a quarter. So there's some mixed institutional flow here. I mean, I need to rotate my laundry, but I'm not going to leave this just yet. I want to see what happens here at this value area low. This is going to be your line in the sand right here. If you come down below this and start building time and building volume, it's not good. Unless that volume quickly rejects it and shoves you right back into value. There's just not a ton of volume being built down here. This is a pretty good tail in the distribution. Got buyer absorption. You're failing to rotate out of value. So I think the probabilities are definitely more, and you're going to revisit up here near 770 than you are to revisit 750. Just the way things are looking at the moment. Yeah, seller stepped in here at 62, but not with any real strong commitment in any real size. And it's one thing to absorb price, it's another thing to then continue to sell it. All right, it's the initiation after the responsiveness. This is responsive selling. Initiative selling is if you continue to sell after you respond. Getting lots of heavy absorption prints on the buy side, which is good. So long at 59 and a quarter on a half position, stops down at 50. Kind of allowing some wiggle room on this one a little bit because I want to see what would happen if we get outside value. Like, if we're in drawdown, I don't add to the position beyond a half. Only when we're profitable will I consider going full position. So heavy activity on the bid. You want to see price push up on this. All right, we don't want to be closing below this at all. No. Yeah, unless this quickly rejects. I want to see a lot of volume come in right now and push this higher. If it doesn't, if it holds price down here, we're screwed. And we're going to start exiting. I want all this volume to push price up right now. Price should not want to come out here again. Right now you've taken these buys. Yeah, we're done. All right, so we'll start selling 54, exit a quarter position. Try to get it. I don't think we're going to get back up into value here. Give me 54s. Just trying to reduce my position. Okay. So now, oops. Now just the remaining stop at 50. Yeah, damn it. Original thesis was sound, it looked like. Buyers can't hold it. Buyers cannot hold it. So still long, really bad fill at now 59 and 3/4. We got out part of the position at 54. I want to snap back in. Snap back in now. All right, we'll allow some wiggle with this position. Leaving the stop on the second quarter down at 50. So just long 1/4 now. All the way up at 59 and 3/4. Jeez Louise. You don't want to be spending time out here. The more time you spend out here, the more accepted the price is. And we're going to hit our final stop at 50 for sure. So maybe try to get it out at 52. Yeah, we'll try 52. See if we get it. Or if we just get 50. Yeah, all this volume is just suppressing price still. More sellers at 51 and 3/4. That buyer at 50. Yeah, okay, and we're out. All right, so a couple stabs. Quarter position at first, and then half position second. Both didn't work. I'm gonna go rotate my laundry real quick. Be right back. All right, all right, all right. So yeah, still very bearish on the order flow, it looks like. Last large order was 51.75. So you're hanging underneath it. Yeah, I only want to re-engage unless I'm pretty confident now, right? Because we took a couple of small stabs, both didn't work. First we tried the short side, then we quit on that, then we tried the long side, we quit on that. So if we're to engage a third time, even with a small position, I want to be a little more confident. I want to get better fills. So don't take a losing day and turn it into an absolutely destructive, destroying day. Some more sells at 751. So we've had large sells at 51.75 and now 51. Now we're popping back up. But all buy side absorption is coming in at lower and lower prices. And sellers have now stepped in at lower and lower prices. Last time was at 61. Right? They defended the top side of this distribution here at 60. And you just quickly rejected and could not get. Wow. That's pretty bearish. That was a very quick rejection. I want to start putting pieces on here even. Like, get a better price, get a better price. It's just like, I don't know if we're going to get that better price. The volume is coming at the lows. You know, buyers are absorbing all this activity on the bid. It's just got absorbed. It's pretty heavy absorption. I mean, our sellers willing to push this, but there's been no large buyers. Absolutely none. And just buyers are getting nowhere for their troubles. I just don't know if this is a great price to get in at. Start shorting down into these lows like this. I mean, this is just the lows of the daily distribution. Lows could be as low as 40 today. I would be shorting out of value, hoping for continuation out of value. I don't know. And we haven't seen any seller absorption here that's been definitive. I mean, you're getting these large orders on the offer, which aren't really getting anywhere. See if we quickly reject value again. See if now we start resisting 55. All right, because this is also now where last time buyers stepped in this morning. It's right here, 56. So that's a pretty logical place for sellers to defend. Is the underside of absorption. All right, volume comes in, pushes you right back out of value. Any news flow? No, it doesn't look like there's any news flow outside the Iranian bank news at 9:52. And buyers are trying to lift price here. But when the volume came in here right at value, right at the value line, it pushed prices back out. All right, when the volume comes in, it still seems to be doing the same thing. I mean, just take another stab with the quarter at 53 on the shorts. I think we need to be more patient just because we've already taken 2 stabs at this. I'm going to be patient until I see signs of definitive absorption on behalf of sellers that they're willing to step in at lower prices. All right, if the sellers were truly trying to sell this, I think 56 is going to be the swing high. I don't think you allow it to get up to 60 again. Maybe you do. All right, that absorption came in at 61-ish. Yeah, 60, 62. Just we're playing a little loose with this value area low today. And there's divergence. Right back inside value at 56, where we're kind of speculating. Want it to hold though. And then I'll just do a quarter position. I don't want to get crazy. So I'll limit it at 54. Catastrophic stop at 64. Maybe we'll get filled. The seller stepped in a lower price. I don't think these buyers are going to be able to hold it. They're in a pretty precarious situation this morning. There's been no large buyers down here whatsoever. You just had a couple more large sellers. I don't think we're going to get filled on the 54. Let's see what happens here. Well, good news, you didn't quickly snap right back into value. The volume that's built in here isn't necessarily rejecting price very cleanly. And it's holding price, if anything. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get filled at 54. It's like, do you want to do it at 52? I think we'll leave it at 54. That might be the top right there. 53. You're trying to come back into value. All right, so filled at 54. Glad to see seller divergence step in right there, right at a lower price. But you want them to hold it now. Our bad trade stop is at 64. Just core position. We've already taken a couple of stabs, one with a half position didn't work. If we get more seller absorption in here that holds, I mean, I think we're still shooting for this 40 today, somewhere in that range. These buyers just can't get this back into value. That's pretty heavy absorption right there. A lot of large numbers with not much price movement. And you're able to swing up to 63. Which makes our trade entry not that great. Let's just see what happens. Value area is being dragged down. Yeah, now we're at like the kind of the POC for the day. I mean, distribution to the downside does look kind of clean. I mean, it's not a bad tail. The cleaner the tail, the more likely it is that the auction is complete. Doesn't look bad. And the volume's coming in and still suppressing price, which is good. Unless this trade really starts working, I don't really want to add to it. So I don't think my stomach's there for it. Some buyer divergence right at the POC. And this volume that came in here was able to hold price. Like now you want to see an inability to get back on the other side of this distribution shape, right? Like this is as far as it should go. I wouldn't mind seeing some more signs of seller divergence. But buyers have yet to hold the line today. They've stepped in. You saw the flashes of the divergence, but nothing is hold. And there's been no large transactions outside earlier on the buy side. It's all been sell side. These latest ones at 51.75 and 51. And the market is just held right at those levels. Quickly absorbed and rejected. That's good. Yeah, keep suppressing price, please. I'd like to see some more seller absorption, please. Yeah, just hovering around the POC now. It's kind of annoying. I mean, we need a break of the 51. Because now the market is held up at this last place that the institution sold at was 51. It's right here. And there's buyers down here. You snap them, you probably get a clean break down to 40. That's when we'll add to our short. We get a break at 51 and then the failure to rotate back into this kind of range that we've now developed. Right around 50, 51. We snap this, come back, test on the other side, get absorption, resistance, volume coming in, suppressing price. You can add to the position. So right now we'll just leave it at a quarter position, short at 54. And just wait and see. I mean, it does look like the volume is kind of drying up down here. We've had several sub 2,000 contracts traded in 1 minute span, 1,900, 1,700, just above it, 2,100. Like volume's drying up here. So the market's going to go into price discovery mode. It'll just take one participant with a little bit of volume to move price. And then we'll go and try to discover a new area of balance. Because we're kind of running out of volume here. Yeah, we haven't made any real good attempts to rotate back up into 56 and above. But the battle line now is 51. 51 to 50, right in here. You don't really want to see a ton of volume coming in here and then lift price. But it is good that sellers are willing to kind of meet them right here. and see. I mean, it's a tall order kind of breaking buy side divergence after the last few days that we've had. It's fighting the trend a little bit. That's where the flow's pointing this morning. It's pointing to lower prices, not higher prices. Ideally, you want to hold below this volume here. Come on. You got to make a clean break of 5150s. You don't want to see divergence here again. This is done on light volume. All right, so the majority of the volume was here. It wasn't here. All right, when large volume comes in, what happens to the price? Right, if it goes up on light volume, it's nothing. But if it goes up on heavy volume, that means something. So when the heavy volume comes in, what happens to price? All right, like, are you now going to close above this right here at 553? You would hope not to. But we also don't want to become so narrowly focused on each minute's order flow. Like, oh, volume's pushing price. Oh, now it's suppressing price. Now it's pushing out. But it's suppressed price for the most part right there. I want a clean break. I'm not moving to stop. Because it is going to easily push up to 54, no problem. The buyers are just continually stepping in here, but they're not following through either. It's responsive buying, it's not initiative buying. We've had some initiative on behalf of sellers, but it hasn't been overwhelming. And you're still stuck at the POC. There's still more business to be done here, apparently. But I mean, this volume is just, it's pretty anemic down here. All that activity was on the offer for the most part, and price did not go up. We'll pop up there on some volume. I would like to see sellers step in here because you're now lower than these swing highs. If you're really aggressive with selling, you step in at lower prices. How aggressive are you, sellers? Like, this should be the natural next line of defense here. If they're a little passive about their selling behavior, they'll let it drift up here. 57s, 58s. Well, you want to remain below the volume, please. And well, we're getting some volume to push price higher. It's not a ton of volume, but it's volume. Like, we don't want to see volume come in and push through these highs right here. Any of the volume that comes in should suppress price. If this trade thesis is good, but I mean, buyers have stepped in here repeatedly. Who knows? Sellers could just be like, no, we're done. After the week we've had trying to sell this market, yeah, they might be done. I mean, you should absolutely be stepping in here and selling this if you're a seller. I want to zoom out a little bit. All right, so that's a good sign, the divergence. You want to quickly reject this. You want this to be quick. We don't want to be spending a lot of time up here. The more time we spend up here, the worse this gets for our trade. Yeah, and buyers are stepping in at higher prices. That's not ideal. And we're staying above this volume here. That's less than ideal. That's a good amount of volume too. But all this activity here is on the offer. And it's a lot of activity. Yeah, I'm willing to scratch this now. So limit by 57. See if we get a fill. That's a lot of volume that pushed through in the spot that you didn't want it to push through. Move this down. 61. Yeah, this trade is kaput now. Absolutely kaput. Because you broke, this was pretty heavy divergence here. And you snapped them. You snapped them pretty good. Like, I don't suspect that they'll be able to hold this. Move this down to 60. Just bracketing, trying to get a better price on the fill. Trying to get out of the short here at 54. Yep, all right, good. Nice, out at 57. Save some of that cheddar. Yeah, this is just chop. We're getting chopped up. We're on the wrong side. Good thing we're keeping our position small because it's not working right now. Order flow is just going back and forth a little too much. We keep on we snap the buyers, then you snap the sellers. Yeah, now you're getting buyer absorption here at the top of the sell side. I mean, it's like now a fucking long, which is drives you crazy. Right now it's like 100% along. Because now all the sellers are underwater, even those late ones. Right? You're probably gonna go run to the highs now. It's so crazy. If there more volume comes in here and holds high, shit. It's like, do you want to try this again? Just because of where it did that, right on the top of that, and right in this little volume area. Like, even with this absorption right here, it's like all the large institutional orders are now sub 60, right? They're all below 760 right here. This is the last guy. All the other cells below here are now underwater. But you're getting heavy sell side absorption. Heavy, heavy, heavy. But it's holding. Yeah, it's probably gonna fucking snap up. Do we want to live dangerously? Do we want to live dangerously? Yeah, we're gonna put on a piece at 760. Let's do it. So 750. Because this is a lot of volume up here and it is not suppressing price whatsoever. Right, so this just becomes like a coiled spring. And the last place that they tried to defend was 760, right up here. See where all this volume came in? You're now at that place again, building the volume. But it's not suppressing the price. All right, all that volume that came in. Just a quarter piece. So we're running out of time here. It's been a lot of chop today. A lot of chop today. Break the buyers, break the sellers, goes back and forth, goes back and forth. I mean, this should be like the line in the sand right here. I mean, the stop can just be 54 probably. Doesn't need to be crazy. Because this is good structure to be behind. And now you got the absorption here again, which is good. I mean, I would like to see some buyers come in with some large size, ideally, but we haven't had that. We've been absent all morning. After 9:41, there wasn't really anyone buying on scale. But volume continue comes in, push price up. So that's good. And so here's the last time we've had trouble. It was at this spot right here. But we've snapped sell side resistance twice now. And one of it was pretty heavy at 55. And then we snapped this here at 60. Still give it some wiggle room. You don't really want it to break back into this range here, ideally. All right, if bulls are strong, they don't want it to break down in this range where sellers were active. And you especially don't want it to break down into 55. So that's where we'll put our stop. Like, it's okay. Maybe if you get back into this range, not the end of the world, you get back into this 55 range, it's kaput. And with this volume coming in here, you want to stay above this if you can. I want to see some buyer divergence, guys. Come on. For one time today, just make it a little easier, would you? Just a little. Doesn't need to be perfect. Yeah, there you go. Give me a little bit more buyer divergence, please. Yes, thank you. Volume comes in, lifts price. That's what you want to see. Failure to rotate back into this range. That's what you want to see. I mean, once we break this, if we can break the sellers up here in the low 60s, where is he? 233 at 1012. This guy right here. This is the area you got to get over right here. You break that. It's a good case for the bulls. But we've seen each side take control today. And so you maybe finally get your balance day that we've been waiting for. On the one day that it comes, it chopped us a little bit. Fucker. Until we break this 760 range, I don't want to add or build this position. Because we're right at the highs where last time sellers came in. All right, buyer divergence is good. But snap this level and come down and retest this and give me more buyer divergence, and I'll add to the position. We got to break this area first. And sellers are still active here. You keep on getting flashes of seller diversions. Volume comes in and suppresses price. You want volume to hold or lift price. You don't want it to suppress price here. Buyers are going to give up here. We're breaking into the previous little rotational range. Sellers are following it a little bit lower. Yeah, fuck. Come on, buyers, step in. Immediately get out of this range. Immediately rotate out of this range. Do not close below this. It closes below this 57 volume right here. So we got some time. But you want to see a quick rejection out of here. Quick rejection. Good. That was strong divergence number. Strong divergence number. That's very strong. Buy some more at 59 if we rotate down and get it. And just increase the stop at 54 for a half position. Because that was a lot of volume that came and pushed price up in a good spot. It didn't allow us to rotate into this range. I don't know if we'll get another fill. Maybe just buy it at 60. All right, I'll try at 60. Keep the stop at 54 for the full half position. So we're going to try to add at 60 for a full half, just because of what the market just did. That's a heavy absorption. And it was a quick rotation out. That was a quick rejection. All right, so and for now a half position at 60. If we get stopped out at 54, like fuck, that sucks, but it's not the end of the world. And you don't want to rotate into this range at all. All right, and we're really kind of looking for a run of the highs, at least 70. It looks like we'll be going a little past our time limit today. Stay out of that range. Stay out of this rotational range right here. All right, we've rejected this low volume little ledge right here a couple of times now, which is good. But we now need to break. We got to break the 61, 62s. All right, we've been held up here in the same spot. Volume is pushing price higher, which is good. I mean, I like it. I like it. I think it's a decent trade. I think we do get the pop. I think we can break the sellers here. I think so. It's 10:59. Some more absorption here. No large activity since 10:26. It was all on the sell side down at 751, which is now the bottom of this daily range. You're spending a lot of time here near this high. You're gonna break this high for sure. You're not quickly rejecting this. You're quickly rejecting down here. You're not quickly rejecting this. This rejection was much quicker. See how quickly we rejected and just immediately cascaded? You're not quickly rejecting this. You're spending a lot of time here. I would like to break this area and then move the stop around this area, 67, 68. But we got to make a clean break of this. We can't be just diddle-daddling in this area, like break above it and then come back below. Like we do that, like I just, oh my goodness. Like they don't want to make anything easy for you, do they? All right, so the seller is still trying here. This isn't a very clean break, right? This is all activity on the offer, and you're barely able to push above this volume. Like you want to see a lot of volume coming in right now and just lift in price. Like that's always the ideal situation. And when you break out of these rotational ranges, you don't want to come back into them. And because this isn't a clean break of this range, right? Because really like the top of the range is 763-ish. Just give up, seller. But also, we haven't seen any large institutional orders coming behind this and buying this up. All right, this has just all been not a lot of volume. I don't have much risk tolerance, I feel like, for this trade, especially because we're just barely able to get outside of this range. And if we now come back into this range, I just, oh, why would you do that to me, market? Do that. But you want to see volume come in and you want to see a break of this goddamn level. Snap, snap. Come on, just snap it. Just overwhelm them. Come on, institutions. You know what you want to do. I don't want us to see us rotate back into this range and hang out here now. We spent all this time in this range. You're kind of resistant it now, but I mean, not a great job. It's just like this slow grind. Like, do I want to move my stop to break even? Yeah, I kind of do now. Yeah, stop at break even, 60.25 on the full half. So your first resistance point is going to be on the other side of this probably, and then your next resistance point would be the highs. Well, part of me wants to sell at 68. As we get up here, let's see what the flow does. I don't want to just sell if the volume just continually comes in and just lifts price, right? You'll let it run for a minute. When the volume starts coming in and pushing price down, it's like, fuck. So where's the top of this range? I'm gonna say it's 63. Stop at 61. Just protect some profits, honestly. Because we got a little chopped up on quarter positions this morning. So volume held price, didn't really suppress it. So maybe I do want to tighten just a tighter stop at 65. But am I being too aggressive with this? Because I'm suspecting that you're gonna run into some sort of resistance here. If this was like a big short position. So buyer came in at 67.5 with some size. We'll do just give me one more push up and then I'll put it at 65. You're not going to. All right, so we've come up the first resistance point. We want this volume to push price back up. All right, good activity on the bid, but you want to stay above this now. Ugh, you didn't. All right, so let's put some quick rejection, please. If it quickly rejects, all right, full stop at 64. Okay. Hold it. Hold. 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 Good. Solid divergence numbers. Yeah, I'm comfortable with the full stop at 64 now. This is well defended. So let's see what happens when we get up here towards 70. I don't want to blindly just sell a quarter of my position just yet, just because of this structure. I want the order flow to confirm that I should. Right, if a lot of volume comes in right at this spot and suppresses price, I want to at least sell a quarter of it. Right, if it quickly bounces back from here, but I mean, this is a strong diverge. I think you can break this too. I mean, the way this came in and held it, and we've now had a couple big buys at 67.5 and 68. So it's either going to mark the top or it's going to mark a continuation spot. See, so I'm going to limit sell some at 68. See if we can get a fill on it. And with my finger over the button to cancel it. If we quickly reject this again. But full stop at 64. Limit at 68 on partial. If you quickly reject on the volume, do not come back down into the 65s. All right, cancel 68. If this holds, full stop 65. Full stop 65. On the half position. I think you can break these people here. And yeah, we've gone over our time limit for the day, but we're letting our position run. I want to try to get the most out of this that I can. And we didn't like very quickly reject this, and the volume that kind of came in here held up the price. But that's a lot of volume right there at 67 and 3/4. So let's see. I've had strong divergent prints here. And I just want us to continue to break through and push this if we can. The volume that comes in, heavy volume. You want heavy volume, but you want it to lift price and not suppress it. All right, the heavy volume that's coming in is lifting price still. Full stop still at 65, below this swing. We kind of developed a little rotational range here at 67. Volume that's coming in is not really. So full stop at 67 now. I still don't see a reason to limit, sell anything. Not based off this order flow. I don't really see sellers jumping in here. All right, so let's just let this run a little bit. Yeah. So this is another resistance point. Full stop 68. Maybe right behind this volume. Like I don't want to give up a whole bunch of points here. I think 68 is a safe stop here, I think. right? You're below this structure here. So I want to leave myself open for a very strong runner if we can get a strong runner here. Structurally, this gets a little precarious now because now it's like, where do you really put your stop now? I mean, definitely 69 full stop. Damn, we just fucking added more of this. God damn. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, son. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. So as soon as we see any seller divergence after this little bit of run, I want to at least limit something. Get off quarter. I don't want to get fully stopped out at 769. So now you're seeing seller divergence. Volume came in, held down price a little bit. Let's see what the reaction is. I've not checked the news flow in a while. Nothing. No news flow. So let's start protecting a little bit. Full stop at 71.5. All right, this is the higher this gets, the tighter I want to make the stop. But I mean, the order flow still is not saying that I need to like start limit selling. Right, as we're making new highs, like the volume that comes in, just it holds price, but it's not actively pushing it back down. Yeah, maybe we do want to, now we'd want to limit sell at 75. It's questionable because we get the flashes of the divergence up here. We're just above the previous spot where sellers were pretty active. So I'll put a piece at 75. See if we can get a fill at 75 to sell a quarter of this, unless it quickly snaps back up again and is able to close above that volume that just came in. A full stop at 71.5. Yeah, cancel it. I mean, just let it run. If it wants to run, let it run. Close above this. It looked like for a second it wanted to close above that. That's 11.12. Yeah, it is precarious up here. So what we'll do is full stop at 72.5. Yeah, I mean, because we're running into sellers, right? Not saying this isn't the top, but there's enough seller presence up here where at least we want to get rid of part of it. And because we're kind of just like, do you just want to sell part of it? Do you want to keep a little bit for a late runner? Sell some at 75 or 74 here. And then move the stop down to like 71-ish. And it's a little tough for me to make a decision on this one. Because I think we're running out of steam here a little bit. The question is, have we run out of enough steam? When we get more flashes of the divergence, I'll at least ditch a quarter immediately, I think. Where are you, sellers? You were here a minute ago. You guys just walk away and say, screw it. Thank you if you did. So big volume came in there. This has all been buying. This is all buying. All large orders been on the buy side. No large Yeah, full stop, just continue at 72.5. Let this fucker run. Took small stabs, and then when we counted it, we had somewhat size on, but we just didn't add to it. All right. Now we're getting crazy. Now I have nowhere to put my shit. 76.5 full stop. I don't like those immediate pop-ups like that. Because this is the volume that breaks it out right here. So they'll defend it if they're really serious about it. And we're going to be really tight with our stop because we've got a lot of profit on the table. And this volume that came in is just, for the moment, it looks like it's suppressing. Structurally, I mean, 780, I mean, it doesn't mean anything. None of this means anything. Especially at these levels. I mean, diverging on the buy side at these levels, kind of crazy. I mean, this thing just wants to run to 8,000 right now. Go for it, bud. There's nothing but buy, institutional buying. All right, we started at 769. Right here. Full stop still at 76.5. 16.5 point trade, right? Yep. And, you know, if this market continues to run later into the day, you know, so be it. Finally got a large sell at 779. But look at that quick rejection. Time and volume rejections, my friends. Tells you so much about the market. But you want it to stay out of here. Going back in and closing within is not ideal. So we're still at 76.5. I mean, we can get really tight and do 77, but 76.5. Don't be so fucking greedy. Gone way over our fucking time limit today. Getting a little hangry. I do have to rotate laundry again at some point. But I mean, buyers are stepping in at higher prices. Might as well stay with them. And we're only up 0.25% on the day from yesterday's close. I mean, if I wasn't so greedy with this, I would just be closing out quarter of it right now and have a much wider trailing stop on the last quarter. That, if I was a true professional, that's how I'd probably trade it. But I'm an emotional being. We've got a lot of profit sitting on the table right now on a half position. Had a pretty good run. So just stick with the tight stop on all of it and just be done. Yeah, we're going to get stopped out at 76.5. The market's not going to hold here. Negative. And we are out at 76.5. Make sure everything else is canceled. Good. Final trade of the day. Let's go, folks. All right. Great day today, Thursday. We will be back tomorrow morning again at 9:30 a.m., probably a couple minutes before. And let's finish off this week strong. It's been a pretty good week. Let's finish it strong. All right. God bless you. Have a great day.